Hello, everybody. My name is Sherelle Tubbs. I hope everybody is doing well. If you are out there, if you could just please let yourself be known. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself before we get started here. My name is Sherelle Tubbs, and I am excited to be bringing you these streams related to AP Human Geography. Today's session, we're going to focus on time management and organization. I have had the pleasure of teaching AP Human Geography for the last for 4 years, and I'm excited to kind of dive back into it with you today. We're going to go ahead and dive in and get started. Today, I want to talk to you about time management and organization. So, of course, we always want you to think at Fiveable, and please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. These are just wonderful spots. If ever you miss a stream, you can find these streams located on YouTube. My son currently is taking AP World, and I dialed into Fiveable last year when he was taking AP Human Geography, and he found it to be very beneficial. So please, if you know of anybody else who's taking any other AP courses, please tell them to check out Fiveable and all the other available streams and resources that we have for you. So some of the things that we are going to look at today are habits. What you do continuously every day in AP Human Geography is going to sustain you for the rest of your AP journey. We also want to take a look at your mindset. I really need for you to have a mindset like a tree, and I'll explain what that is later on in the presentation. I'm going to do a little bit about time management and what that looks like for me and how that translates to my students and how I wanted them to manage their time, and also organization. How you keep your notebook, how you keep your notes. Do you have any folders, things of that nature? Those are very important as well. So I love these little quotes, and this is one that I especially enjoy. And it says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is an act, but a habit. It is not an act, but a habit." So I need you to develop some things and be intentional. The word that I really want you to focus in on for this entire stream and really for the rest of your school year is the word of intent. You have to be intentional. Now, several of the things that I am going to present to you are not totally all my own work. So I want to let you know that right now. There are several different folks that we're going to take a look at today, but their work is what I introduce in my class. So Webster's dictionary has a very clear definition of what a habit is. So according to Webster's dictionary, a habit is a settled tendency or usual manner of behavior, an acquired model of behavior that has become nearly or completely voluntary. That means you just do it on autopilot. Another definition that Webster has here of what is a habit is a manner of conducting oneself. So could you tell me, are there any habits that you have in play right now? Like, what is it that you do automatically that you don't even think about? For a while, I was a nail biter, and so that was a habit. I had an aunt who, was still trying to get her to stop. She was a smoker. That's a bad habit. But what are some habits that you have in play? Just some general habits. And if you could just type them there on the screen. Right now, I am trying to develop a habit of going to the gym at least 4 to 5 times a week. Right now, I'm only up to 4. And really, if I think about it and I'm truthful, it's only 3. So opening and closing random applications whenever I'm not busy. Yeah. I also have a habit of just gravitating to my phone in any circumstance and just checking for things on my phone, even if somebody hasn't sent me something. I want to say that is a habit that I have developed. I want us to think about our habits in terms of steps. And if we consistently do things over and over that are positive, that's going to lead to success. And I want you to have success in your APHuG class and in all of your classes. So even though this is specifically for APHuG, because that's my passion, I want you to be able to translate this to all your other classes, okay? So you may have heard of this guy. He wrote this book called The 7 Habits of a Highly Effective Teams. And his dad is a world-renowned speaker who talks about the importance of habits, Mr. Covey. Well, of course, like father, like son, his son has followed in his footsteps. And so Sean Covey has developed these habits, and this may be a book that you're familiar with, but in his book, Sean Covey talks exactly about what habits are. And again, I've said them. It's things that we do without even thinking. They're autopilot. And so I want us to kind of dig into this a little bit, and then we'll segue into how this is going to turn into success in the APHuG class. So you want to think about habits as there's some good habits and there's some bad habits. Now, I am a huge fan of the series Samurai Jack. May it rest in peace because it's not on anymore. But anytime that I can catch some old episodes, I gladly will pull them up on the internet or on Hulu. So there are good habits. What are some good habits that you know that you have right now that you could say, you know what? I'm going to hold on to those. Those are really good. Maybe it's exercising regularly. Maybe it's planning ahead. Maybe it's showing respect for others. Could you tell me what's one good habit that you know that you have right now related to school? Maybe it's that as soon as you get home, you have a snack. Maybe it's as soon as you get home, you turn your cell phone off and put it in a basket for later on. And then what are some bad habits? Like, what's one bad habit that you have related to your studies, your school, that you're like, oh, I really would like to get rid of that. I would really like to replace that. Covey says that he gives examples. Some of those bad habits can be thinking negatively, feeling inferior, blaming others. So when you get a chance, just type what's one bad habit you have that you're trying to get rid of or would like to get rid of, and what's one good thing that you're like, Ms. Tubbs, I would really like to improve upon this. Maybe you set goals for yourself. Maybe you reflect upon your week. So Sophia, you said a bad habit is that I always procrastinate. Girl, I know, and I procrastinate too, but I will tell you that through my time management, that has helped me get better at not procrastinating, but I surely can wait to the last minute to do something. Let me see. Another bad habit I have is sometimes I sleep late. I know that could be an issue. Now, that's an issue for my husband and my son and my daughter. Me, I'm an early riser. But I feel your pain. I feel it. So keep those habits that you have in mind, whether or not you want to translate them to something else, to a good, or just capitalize on what's good already and improve upon it. All right. So does it really matter? Sometimes we have habits and they don't really matter. They're not necessarily going to make us, and they're not necessarily going to break us. Whether you take your shower in the morning or the evening when you get home, I think the important part is that you take a shower. Putting hot sauce on every meal. My kids right now are in this routine where they just like putting hot sauce on their eggs, putting hot sauce on their chicken, putting hot sauce on their sandwiches. That's really not going to make or break them unless they develop some type of an ulcer, which we pray that they don't. Listening to music while you exercise. Listening to music while you exercise could be a really good motivator. Listening to music while you're studying, that could be a bad habit depending on what type of music that you're listening to. Do either of you like to listen to music when you're doing your schoolwork and studying? Just a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Is that a habit that you have? So I know I need music to get my work done. However, I am really intentional in making sure that it's instrumentals. Okay, so yeah, listening to music, I love it. Even if it's popular pop music, I like to listen to the instrumental versions of those songs. Even if I know the songs in my head and I'm bopping along, I still, because the words can distract me. So Is this you when you're studying? Again, just a thumbs up. Things you do when you study. Do you mostly do random stuff when you're studying, and then you have this small little sliver in the pie where that's your actual studying? And again, we want to make sure that that turns into a good habit, that the red decreases and the blue that we see there increases on the map, on your graph. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time in every single one of these, but Sean Covey, who wrote this book, he said that there are 7 effective habits. Could you please type in just a number 1, 2, 3, or 4 as we're on this slide? Are you proactive? Is that a good habit that you have? Do you take responsibility for the things that are going on around you, making a schedule for what you have to do? Is that a habit that you have? Because he says to be successful, that's something that a team needs. Do you begin with the end in mind? Not the endo, the end in mind. Do you set goals for yourself at the beginning of the week before school starts? Do you say, okay, I know I did bad on that quiz. I want to see my teacher and go back and do, get some tutoring in and then retest? Do you put first things first? Do you know how to prioritize the things in your life that you need to do? Do you have a positive attitude? Do you think win-win? I know that this looks bad right now, but I'm sure I can turn this around. Are any of these habits things that you kind of have already? Could you put a 1, 2, 3, or 4 if these are some things that you have? Okay, so, and that's important. Having a positive attitude is really important. See, you said you only have 3. You know how to prioritize, but 3 is better than having number 3 is better than not having anything at all. So I commend you on that. All right, let's take a look at his next ones. For habits 5, 6, and 7, Mr. Sean Covey says you have to seek first to understand, then to be understood. So if there are things that you're not quite sure of what's going on, try to get an understanding of it in your mind. Do you synergize? Are you able to bring all of these separate things together and make them work in concert? That's what synergize means. And do you know how to sharpen your saw? If there are things that you are unclear about, do you go out and seek ways to make those better? If y'all have any of these habits, even a little on this slide, number 5, 6, or 7, could you type that in for me so I can see what you're working with? Because that'll give me an idea of telling you ways that you can manage your time and organize based on that. So for example, if you know that you're not really good, like I'm not the best note taker. Do you go out? Do you sharpen your saw and find ways to take better notes? If you don't understand the concept right now in AP Human Geography, are you being proactive and going out? So I hear 5. So one said 5, and then one said 5 and 7, and maybe a little 6, synergizing. Yeah, and let me tell you, these are 7 habits of highly effective teens. But I'm also letting you know, adults, we have things that we need to work on in that area as well. So we definitely do not think that you have to have it all together. And while you're taking a little time to read through, because someone said procrastination, that's one of my things that I need to work on. Is this your first AP Human Geography class? A simple yes or no will do. And then my second follow-up question is anybody else taking another AP class along with this? So I know in my system, a lot of kids will do AP Human Geography, but they'll also do AP Bio. So are either of you doing APHuG and AP Bio at the same time? And I'll wait for your response. And then I like this. Ron Burgundy says, procrastinator? No, I just waited till the last second to do my work because I will be older, therefore wiser, and I like that. So I hear this is my first and my only AP class, and that's good because I do think that you really need to soak all of this in. And then Stevens, you said that you're also doing AP Physics. And so are you also watching the AP Physics stream as well? You could just give me a thumbs up, a thumbs down, because I think that would be a great source for you as well. What I do want to spend a little time on, and these are the habits that I want you to change and commit to changing as you go through the rest of your week and you tune back in with me, and we'll do some updates so I can check in and see how you're doing. So Covey also says that I want you to have the 7 great habits. I want you to be able to synergize. I want you to be able to sharpen the saw. But if you recognize that you have any of these habits, as we're going through, I want you to jot down and tell me what are going to be the 2 habits of a defective team that you're going to commit to changing, because I don't want you to just walk away from this stream and not have anything. I want you to commit to something. So he says that habits of defective teams are, number one, that they react, that they're always blaming other people if things don't go wrong. He says, so you may say things like, the teacher gave me a low grade on my exam. The teacher won't let me turn in my homework late. They took points off. It was only a couple of days late. You're always the victim. That's something that defective teams do. They're always blaming others. They never see themselves as the issue. Habit number 2, beginning with no end in mind. When you started this week, did you not have any idea of a commitment of what you wanted to do? Like, I want to make sure I get my reading done. I have some vocabulary. I know I have other things and other classes going on. Did you have no end in mind? And then I'm going to wait to the end. But if you have any of those, just jot down first a 1 or a 2. And I'm going to ask you for what you're going to commit to later on in the presentation. Next, habits 3 and 4, he says, put first things last. So I guess this would speak a little bit to that procrastination. Whatever is most important, don't do it until you have wasted sufficient time. I'm going to watch TV first. Carnival Road just came out. I want to binge watch that on Amazon. Make sure you always put off homework until tomorrow. Is that a habit that you have? If so, we need to change that. Think, win, lose. So I know that's not an issue for one of you, but are you always like, well, it doesn't make sense. I never do right in this class. I'm not going to do well on my exam, so I'm not going to. But do you have a think, win, lose perspective? So again, if you have one of those, jot it down, and I want to find out what are the ones you're going to commit to changing. Then habit number 5, he states, seek first to talk, then pretend to listen. So when you were born with a mouth, so be sure to use it. Always express your side of the story first. Once you're sure everyone understands your views, then you're going to pretend to listen to others. When you go to your teacher first, are you always trying to explain why you couldn't get your homework done? Why? And I'm not saying they're not valid reasons, but you need to listen to your teacher. Don't always just have your explanation in mind. Also, don't cooperate, that you're not willing to it says here, let's face it, others are weird because they are different from you. So you don't want to work with them. You feel better working, because in AP Human, you really do need a study buddy. You need somebody in, if not the class that you're in one of the other AP classes that you're teaching, you need to link up with somebody and say, can we study together? Can we meet in so-and-so's class after school and kind of have some sharing time? And then the last one, habit 7, wear yourself out. Is that your mentality? Like, I'm just going to wait and just keep going and going. I'm not going to take care of my body. I'm not going to have, worry about my mental health because I'm putting everything last. So defective habit number 1. Number 2, react. Begin with no end in mind was number 2. Put first things last. Think, win, lose. Could you please let me know what's 2 habits that and I appreciate you for your transparency, but what are 2 of those habits that you're like, you know what, Ms. Tubbs, I can work on that. And so I'm going to be committed to working on that. And if you could just type that in on the screen, and that way in future streams, I could kind of check in and see how's that going and has that changed. So take a moment and type that in. So yeah, there is a stream for AP Physics. I'm sorry, I just saw your message. Thank you so much. So I'm really hearing that y'all are going to make a commitment to, I'm not going to put first things last anymore. I'm going to really prioritize. You're going to work on wearing yourself out, because you can wear yourself out, and your mental state is important because that drives everything else. And then I also see here, beginning with no end in mind. So that's goal setting. All right, so let's keep moving and talk a little. So how does all of this relate to AP Human Geography? And I'm so happy that you asked, because it does. Because all of these things, if we put them behind, it will help us be fuller, more committed APHuG students. The second thing that I want to talk to you before we get into the organization and the time management piece is I want to talk to you about the importance of having a growth mindset. So this is where I'm coming to you, and I want you to have a mind like a tree. So there's this woman that I love to follow. She wrote this book called The Growth Mindset. Her name is Carol DeWitt, and I love this quote from her. She says, "We like to think of our champions and idols as superheroes who were born different from us. We don't like to think of them as relatively ordinary people who made themselves extraordinary." Guys, anything worth having is worth working hard for. They're born with maybe a natural ability, but Stephon Curry has to practice that drill routine. He has to go his dribble routine. He has to work on his fundamentals. And that is what makes him the star that he is. And that's the same with any of the folks that we're thinking of. And so in Carol DeWitt's work, she says that there are 2 types of mindset. And I want you to have the mindset on the left side of the screen in blue, and not the items on the right side of the screen. And so I want you to just look through that for a moment, because I want you to focus on having the growth mindset. I'm going to let you read what the fixed is, but this is the type of mindset I need you to have in your AP Human class. And I spend a lot of time those first few weeks of school with my students, going through this and talking to them and pouring into them and encouraging them. You have to have the mindset that failure is an opportunity to grow. You need to have the mindset of, I can learn to do anything I want. You need to have the mindset, challenges will help me grow. My effort and attitudes determine my abilities. Feedback is constructive. If you get that test back from your teacher and that FRQ, that free response question, comes back and you're like, I don't know why I didn't get the points on this, that's an opportunity for growth. I want you to dial into that and go to your teacher and say, could you please help me, because I want to get better at this. I am inspired by the success of others. I always like to the other people that when I was in school, they motivated me. If I saw that there was somebody who was doing really well on an exam, I was like, let me find out what they're doing. And you need to have the mindset of, I like to try new things. And obviously, if you are entering you're entering this AP world, then you're up for the challenge. But I want you to keep that in mind. So please have a mindset of a tree as you're going through this AP course. This growth mindset, I love this image. It says your ability is only 35%. You don't have to be the smartest person in the class. You don't have to be the best writer in the class. You don't have to be eloquent and have the best foldables. All you need to do is have effort. If you come with that 65% of effort, you are there. And having that spirit of not giving up, of just pushing through, because this year is about challenge. And those that are taking 2 courses, then I really need you to have that. There's this term that I love called grit. And I really want y'all to really dial in. Please take a moment and read the different synonyms that are listed there for grit. And please type, what's the one that really stands out to you? For some reason, when I see this definition of grit, the one that really stands out to me is tenacity. I love that word, tenacity. There's another word that I love that's not here, and it's called doggedness. Like when a dog gets a bone, or when a Rottweiler or a pit bull grabs hold of something, it just won't let go. And so that's what grit means. And so the strength of will, moral fiber. I want you somewhere in your AP Human Geography notebook or whatever you're using, I want you to actually take that word and write the word grit in creative letters, and then put your synonym next to it. Put moral fiber next to it, because I need you to really hold on to this. So I want you to have some grit. And so again, how does all of this relate to AP Human Geography? Because guys, I'm telling you, I'm not here to sell you unicorns, rainbows, lollipops. Could you take a moment and just tell me, how long have you been in school? So I know for us in Georgia, we started in the county that I work in, we started back to school August 5th. So we've been in school for a minute. Now I'm from New York City, and when I was born and raised in New York, we didn't go back to school until Labor Day. So how long have y'all been in school? Because right now it may not be totally rough for you right now, but I want to give you hope. Every day is not going to be easy. Every day, especially with all the other classes that you have, learning to manage your 9th grade year in middle school, and I taught middle school for 13 years. In middle school, you got to see your teachers, math, language arts, social studies, science, and then you had whatever your other classes were. So Sophia, you've been in school for 4 weeks, but not now including this week, even though we start again. Okay, all right, so you're still off for the Memorial Day weekend. And then Stevens, you've been in for about 3 weeks. So has the course started ramping up yet, in your opinion? And that could just be a simple yes or no, depending on where you are. So I want to talk to you about the next thing I'm going to segue to is the learning pit. So in order to reach this, okay, so it has started ramping up. And guys, are y'all still, and y'all could type it in and I'll go back and look at it. I also want to know, what unit are you in right now? So are you still in unit 1, which is the thinking geographically? Have you moved on yet to population and migration? And if you could also grab your notes or whatever you have from your class, was there anything from the first unit that you're like, ooh, Ms. Tubbs, if you could go back and do a stream on that, like maybe you didn't understand possibilism, maybe environmental determinism, maybe you didn't understand site and situation. If there's anything that from that first unit that you're still struggling with, I can take note of that and have my student streamers or myself do just some other little streams to address those. So I really want this AP stream to be about you and your needs, because there's no need for me to spend, a whole hour talking about a concept and you're like, Ms. Tubbs, I have that already. So while you're typing that information and letting me know what unit you're in and if there's anything you're struggling with, I want to talk to you a little bit about the learning pit. I want you to know that Learning is an actual feeling. It conjures up emotions. And I love this simple little analogy about this pit that we enter. And every single person enters this pit. I entered this pit as a new streamer for Fiveable, trying to learn, how to use my camera, how to use Crowdcast, how to use all these different platforms. So I entered a pit. And this is where Covey's Habits of an Effective Team, this is where Miss Dweck's work about having a growth mindset is really going to come into play in your AP Human Geography course. When you enter this pit, at first you're excited, you're nervous, you're happy. Then the learning starts to take place. You may start to feel a little frustrated. You may start to become a little distracted. You may even move over to anger when you're really at the bottom of the pit. And this is where you can't use, this is where you cannot use Covey's 7 habits of a dysfunctional team. This is why it's so important, because once you enter this pit, you have to recognize the emotions and the feelings that you're going to have as you're trying to learn all this new content, because AP Human Geography is vocabulary thick. Like, you're learning new terms at a rate that's like supersonic. And to be able to keep that all in your head can be quite daunting. But then there becomes a certain point where you start to climb out of this pit. You recognize the challenge. You're going to still be a little bit annoyed, but I want you to keep digging at it. Then you're going to become happy and start to feel confident as you start to get success. And then finally, you're going to reach that success. But I want you to understand the various stages that you are going to be at. And I don't want you to shy away from it. I want you to say, dang, right now I'm at the bottom of this pit. But I'm going to keep pushing through, because I'm going to have a growth mindset and I accept challenge, and I'm going to make a plan for myself when I'm feeling overwhelmed. All right. So I love this. Take a moment to look at it. I won't speak on it long, but basically it talks about the iceberg illusion of success, that you may see folks in your AP Human Geography class or in your AP Physics class, and it looks like, oh, they got it all together. But it's what takes place underneath this iceberg that makes a difference. And so I love that. Persistence is one that I really like. That goes back to your grit, right? That goes back to fortitude and strength. And I want you to take a look at these folks. None of these folks had it easy. So we may only see what's at the top of the iceberg, but all the things that are at the bottom of the iceberg is why they are at the level that they are at now. So of course we're from, I live in Georgia, so I had to put my Atlanta Braves in there, but I really am a New York person all the way. So go Mets and go Yankees. So I want you to just think about that. Now we're going to segue to time management and organization. So I am an organization queen, time management queen. Now, when I was in high school, was that the case? Nope. I was struggling along like everybody else. I was happy and proud when I got my C. I never took an AP course. I didn't even know that was a thing when I was in high school. However, through my college years, I learned that, man, I have got to be organized. So I am a planner. And so what you're looking at now are my last 3 years, but these go all the way back to my college. They were just different versions. This is what I actually do in my planner. It may look overwhelming to you, and it does not have to be on this level, but look, I'm sitting here now, and I even have, my planner. I can't do anything about it. It doesn't have to look like this for you, but I highly recommend that you get yourself a time management sheet. I am so into planning out my day and all the things that I'm going to do that I entered a competition to win my staff members' planners. And so that's what you see here with them, with their planners. I've taught students that I've worked with in my office. So this is an image of me and one of the students who's in my academy looking through our planners and planning out our week. And she was really the bomb.com because she had 2 planners that she used. So planning is important. I don't even if I know a lot of y'all like to do it on this little device here, even if you type it into your calendar section, you need to take time each week to time manage and to plan out what it is that you're going to do. So I want to show you this example. These are just 2 time management sheets that I just found on Google that I just randomly looked at. And I remember when I first went away to college and I was struggling and I was trying all this freedom in college. You could go to your 7 o'clock class, then you could go to your 9 o'clock class, but no one had taught me how to do this component. So on college campus, they have a little center that you go to. And I was like, I need help. I don't know what to do. And one of the students that were there helping gave me a sheet that looks a lot like the sheet on the left and sat down with me and said, I want you to plan out every single thing that you are going to do this week. What time are you going to wake up in the morning? What time are you going to go to bed? What time are your classes? There are certain things that are fixed. If you, like, I know I need to be at school at 6:45 every single morning. I know we don't get done with school until 2:45. I typically don't leave school until 3. Sometimes I'm really there later. So I already know from 6:45 to 3 o'clock, that's work. My kids have activities. I got to get my daughter to water polo. I have to get my son to baseball. I put all of those things on my calendar. Do either of you does anybody ever use anything like this? A simple yes or no used a time management sheet, or are you using a time management sheet? And if you could just type your comments there so that I can continue. All right. No, so I really want to say, please go online, download one of these. And for me, my day to do this is Sunday. For me, Sunday is the beginning of my week. So even in the planner that I have, I ordered a planner that starts on Sunday. But here it starts on Monday through Friday. But I implore you to please go and print one of these sheets out. And they're cute, and you can make them however you want to make them. But I want you to go this week, and I want you to commit to. So print one out on Sunday. I want you to sit down. Do y'all have extracurricular activities? I need you to plan that out. If you like going to the gym, I need you to plan that out, put that on your calendar, and then see where your empty spaces are, right? Because one of the things that y'all said earlier that you were going to commit to was your mental health, that you said, I'm going to really commit to making sure that I don't procrastinate. This is a way not to procrastinate. So I know I showed you that sheet of mine, but this is what my week looks like. If you just hold on one moment, I know I shouldn't, but I really need some water if that's okay. When you are, this is what my week looks like. So as you can see, it doesn't look like that anymore because September 1st and 7th have passed. But this is what my week now looks like now. But I knew that I had, I love to dance, and I knew that I had some dance rehearsals and things like that I like to do. And so I bubbled that in, and then I just start planning everything out. And so I want you to do this. Sophia, you said I try for like a second, but then I always forget to do it. And so this goes back, Sophia, to building positive habits, right? So right now I'm on this health kick. And one of the things that I've committed to is I'm going to track my food all through the week. Well, Monday, I didn't remember to track my food. It was Labor Day. We had off. I was chilling and eating at the barbecue. I didn't track my food. but I just got back up and did it as soon as I could. So Tuesday came around, the past is in the past, start over. So just make that dedicated time to do so. Okay. I wanted to zoom in to show you, just like the other time management sheets that I was showing you. It has my hours there and all my little prints. So you need that. So I really want you to make a commitment to dedicating time during the week for time management. I really think that you're going to see a change in your study habits, in your outlook of, I have an exam coming up. I know when my kids were in middle school, and I don't know if they do it in your schools, but they used to give them agenda books, and that's where they would write down their assignments and everything. So you need to have a system. I'm simply trying to supply you with the tool for you to be successful. I'm telling you, if you work the system will work. So let's just at least commit to it. Okay, so here are just a few time management tips, and I put the link down there for you to go and find. Again, this isn't my own work, but it works. Create a master schedule, use an agenda, eliminate distractions, have a place where you're going to do your planning, have a place where you're going to study, set goals for your study sessions. Start working on assignments early. Make a project plan. That's what that time management sheet will help you do. Work on one thing at a time. Sometimes my brain will get so, I'm like, I have this to do. I have all these buckets that I'm working on. I want you to really make a commitment to planning out your time. Study in short bursts. Start early in the day if possible. Now, I don't know if you're in clubs and things like that that hinder you from coming right home, but try to start as early as possible instead of working as late into the night. And here we go, back to mental health. If at all possible, get 8 to 10 hours of sleep. My son and my daughter, one of the things that I'm constantly getting on them for is going to bed with this in their hand and letting this be the last thing that they're going to see. So do you have any questions about how time management, what to use, how to start? Do you have anything that you want me to clarify as far as the time management piece? And next, I want to talk to you about your organization skills. So in my class, I love to use something called an interactive notebook. Do you each have a notebook that you use that's specifically dedicated for AP Human Geography or for each one of your classes? If you can just simply type in the comment section and let me know. Okay, so you do have one. Can you please tell me what are the sections that you have in your notebook? Is it a binder? Is it a notebook? How do you have your sections divided? Did your teacher give you some information about that? And let me share with you what I taught my ninth graders. So my ninth graders, we use something called an interactive notebook. Now, it's supposed to be this notebook where the left side represents one type of thinking and the right side represents another type of like processing, but I had to make it work for me. So in this notebook, I would have my kids buy a 5-star college ruled notebook because I knew a full page of paper could fit in my notebook. You need to have a organizational spot where you put every single thing that your AP teacher has given you. And so I just want to read the comments here. So for some of my classes, it's a binder. For other of my classes, it's a notebook. And I mainly use a notebook. Okay, that's fine. So let me just walk you through. This may not be something that you could absolutely translate and using right now, but it's the idea of it that I would like for you to use. So this is what the inside of and I actually kept a notebook for my students to look at and use. In the front of my notebook, there was a table of contents. It probably was about 5 pages front to back. And I wrote down, I made my students write every single thing that I was going to give them. And we did not do this all at once. So if I gave them an activity or a handout on one day, once we were finished with the activity, then I would have them place it in this notebook so that they could keep track of their assignments. When we were going over study guides, they knew, oh, I can turn back to page number 16. That was where we studied this concept. So I had them do a table of contents, and it was about 5 pages. So you could see this particular year, I had them do their syllabus. We did a vocabulary activity. We did note-taking activities. These were all the skills that I taught them to help them be successful, because I want this to translate not just to APHuG, but every single AP class that they had. We did a what is a geography, any quiz we took, any movies we watched, everything went into this notebook. Flipping through, I had them do a goal sheet. So I each week would kind of dial in with my students and say, all right, let's make some goals. Last week I gave you back your test, or last week I gave you back your FRQ. Let's make some goals centered around what you want to do in this class. And I always let my students know, I know that there's an extra 10 points added onto this AP Human Geography class, but I want you to have an 80 without the 10 points. I want you to have a 90 without the 10, because the 80 with the 10 is a 90. I want you to have the 90. I want you to end my class at the end of the year with 110 for your grade for this course. Don't rely on that 10 points. And I'm going to challenge you to do the same thing in your class as well. So I have a goal sheet, and we would do this, week to week. One year, some years I did it bi-weekly. I also had sections in my notebook where I would have them put the study guide. So at the beginning of each of my units, I would give my students the Unit 1 study guide. Now, this is outdated because there are some things that have changed with the AP Human Geography, and I'll do a stream on that if y'all feel that would be beneficial. So this is unit, and it shows like, here are the vocabulary words you need to know. Here are, all the things. So this would be population and migration. And they could go back into that notebook and say, oh, Ms. Tubbs, we did carrying capacity. I could find the answer, the definition for that on page blah, blah, blah. So that was really good. When we had activities, we put those activities in our notebook. So there was absolutely nothing. So whether you have a binder or whether you have a notebook, I would implore you to change it into an interactive notebook. Number your pages at the top. Give yourself a table of contents. And you can find a lot of, if you just Google interactive notebooks, you're going to find a lot of things associated with interactive notebooks. Whatever thinking maps or thinking that was going on, all of that. So this is just kind of a preview into what that notebook would look like for my students. And at the end, my students were able, when it was time to study for that AP Human Geography exam, all they needed was this, really, because anything that they wanted could be found inside of this notebook. I've actually had students that one of my last classes just graduated last year, and the young woman and the young man who were valedictorian and salutatorian said, Mrs. Tubbs, thank you so much for the skills and everything that you've instilled, because they led to our academic success for the rest of our high school years. And I'm telling you, if you work the plan, it will work. And so I don't want your lack of organization to be disturbing. I want you to have success. I want you to excel in this AP Human Geography class that you're taking, and all your all your other AP classes. And so we are at the end of our stream. So I wanted to kind of just have a little time here to just kind of talk to you. Could you please let me know what were 2 big takeaways for you? Like, aha, like something that I'm really going to commit to. I know this is Wednesday. So what are 2 things that you know that you are going to commit to, or 2 aha things that you didn't know about? And if you could type those down there for me, and let's have a conversation about that. Right here, you see my little dog, Chadwick. We didn't want him to bark, but every now and then he sees a squirrel and he goes barking off in the distance. But I'm really sure y'all would be used to it. Y'all will get used to it. Okay, so let me see. So to use my planner more and to make my notebook binder more interactive, yeah, do that. Really reflect on your learning. When you are giving an assignment, if there is something that you do not understand, I want you to say something to your teacher. Let that be an opportunity. What's something else that you would like to, that was an aha moment for you, or something that you were going to commit to using the rest of this week or into next week? And I know that I even ended up getting my daughter one of these, and you can see like I even have my AP stuff in here. Um, so I really want you to do that. All right. Well, as y'all are wrapping up, or as I am wrapping up, we only have a few more minutes left. I really hope that this stream was beneficial. Some upcoming streams that we have coming up are vocabulary development. So our streamer, student streamer, Cody Austin, he's going to do a stream on vocabulary development and what you can do to really help you dig in deeper to vocabulary. We also have some streams. We're going to be moving into our content area streams. And so I know that y'all are in Unit 1, but we're going to be moving soon to population and migration. And so we have some upcoming streams about scales of analysis, regions of analysis. We also have some streams coming up because the demographic transition model is really huge in the population and migration unit. And like I said, I really want this unit, this streaming site for APHuG to be about what you need. So if there's anything that you can think of that you would like, topics you would like for me to touch upon, just please revisit me in future streams. And I'm really happy to be on this journey with you. The next ones will be a lot more interactive, but usually for the skills development, I have just information that I am trying to impart to you. So is there anything else for the good of the group that you would like to share before I sign off for the evening? And please just remember to follow us at Think Fiveable, again, on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And before we close out, I hope that you were able to walk away with the following things. I hope you were able to walk away with being able to determine which habits you need to develop or refine to be successful in your APHuG class. My sincere hope is that you recognize the thought patterns you need to have or develop to succeed in APHuG and in any of your classes. I hope that you will begin working with a tool to manage your time, extremely, extremely important. And I want you to develop a process to stay organized with your notes. If you could just work on those last 2, I would be just eternally grateful for all of that. And as I said earlier, coming up in futures, please be on the lookout for content streams related to population and migration. I would really like to know, I would like to do some review streams. So if there are streams or concepts that you still don't understand from Unit 1, type them in here and let me know. And please let me know if there's any streams that you want us to create tailored to your specific needs. So please let me know that. So I'm going to let y'all just put some closing comments in, and I am going to say to y'all as I type here, thank you so much. I can't type, for joining me. And I hope that I see you next time. So thank you so much. I hope y'all have an absolutely fantastic evening. All right, take care.